Hello, we're so glad you're here. So, if you're looking around and kind of wondering where our theme is, it is Easter.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay, what did I walk close to? Okay. All right, so we have 4 projects today, and they are all way too loud.
Vibration. We got reverb.
All right. I have to keep talking.
Yeah. Keep talking.
All right. Kaylin designed all these projects. Aren't they lovely?
Yes, she did a great job.
They're so cool. They're Be So exclusives. Can't find them anywhere else. Yeah? I think we're good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. So we've got these 4 projects, and we printed one for you guys, and we're going to start with that one. It is this adorable little egg apron. So instead of getting baskets, the little ones can wear the little apron and go hunt their eggs and put all their finds in here. Isn't this just darling? So this was made on the Applaud. So how many people have seen the Applaud or have the Applaud? A few people. All right. How many people are coming to the Applaud event that sold out? What? A few people? All right. It's this month.
It's sold out if you have.
I know. I probably shouldn't have mentioned it. I'm so excited about it. You guys are in for such a treat because Barb Lewis is amazing.
Oh, okay.
You're signed up? All right. Well, you have a handout for this, and I'm going to go over just a few steps. We won't have time to walk through the whole project, but I'll go over a few steps. So, the first thing that I'll talk about, did I lose it? Okay. No, I think you can still hear me. I just can't hear myself. I can hear myself a lot over here. All right, so I'm going to kind of show you how to fold these little pockets because it'd just be easier to have a demo than having to read all that. So you'll have a piece of fabric. You actually have 2 pieces of fabric, and they're 6.5 by 27. And then you'll fold it in half, wrong sides together, and do a seam, and then flip it out, and you'll have a tube. All right. So mine, I did wrong side out just so the marking showed better. But yours is going to be pretty fabric side out. Okay. I don't want to confuse anybody. Mine is wrong side out just so that the markings pop. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to show you guys how to make these little pleats. So on each end, we want to leave 1 inch of space because we don't want our pockets all the way to the end. Okay. So on each side, we've got 1 inch of space. And then there's a repeating pattern. So let's put this here. Man, it's good? Okay, so here's the end. So the pattern all the way across is 1 inch, 2 inch, 1 inch. So this 1 inch, 2 inch, 1 inch is one pocket. And then here's the next one, 1 inch, 2 inch, 1 inch. That's another pocket. And you'll go all the way across using that pattern, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. And you'll make a total, it makes a total of 6 pockets. Okay? And one of the ladies at another club, we were talking about size. So this isn't really probably going to fit eggs from our real chickens. But one of the ladies said that when she made an apron, she just increased the measurements by 1/2 inch. So 1.5, 2.5, 1.5, and that made it large enough for her eggs. She said she had made one of these before. And so I thought that was a good tip. I just want to pass that along. Obviously, you'll have to make the strip longer, right? But if you're wanting to make it for real eggs. All right, so there's different ways that you can do it. I'm gonna show you how to fold it real quick, and then we'll talk about putting it on. So you're gonna ignore the one that's on the end, okay? Ignore that one, and then here's our first fold, and we're just gonna fold that 1 inch part on itself. And I just like to use clips. You could press it, you could use pins, whatever you're comfortable with. And then you're gonna fold it, the 1 inch on the other side of it, just kind of on itself. All right. So there's our first little pocket. And then the pockets are gonna be right next to each other. Okay, a little like that. So the next, we're gonna fold that 1 inch on itself. And there's There's our next little pocket. All right, and then fold this one on itself. The only thing that you have to remember is the 2-inch part is always on top. So you're just folding the 1 inches in half and the 2-inch portion is always on top. Does that make sense? Okay. Sometimes stuff makes sense in my head. I'm glad it makes sense out loud. Okay. So then here's the next pocket. So it is. You just go all the way across. And this is, I'm probably just going to stop here when I get 3 done because it's very repetitive. And you'll have a total of 6. All right. And the one on the very end is not part of it. It's for space. So I'm going to turn this over and we're going to kind of pretend like this is the front of my apron. The instructions will tell you how far down to place it, and you'll line up that edge there. And what you can do is you can do this one at a time and you can fold as you go, or you can take some pins and pin this after you've clipped and ironed. You can do whatever you're most comfortable with. But here's where you're going to sew. Let me show you on the front first so you can kind of see. So, that was a pun, and I didn't even mean to do it. All right, so you're just going to sew down straight lines, and we use the cover stitch machine, and I'll demo that here in a second. But you just move the pockets out of the way, and you're sewing a straight line. Okay, so I'll turn it over to the back here, and I'll kind of show you what I mean. Definitely make sure your pocket's right sides up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The 2-inch part should be on top. Okay. So the first one that gets sewn is just this one right here. Okay. And then, and I'll kind of undo this so you can kind of see. There are 2 1-inch parts that are always together, and it's down the middle of that. That's where you sew on each one. It's just down there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's one of the middle.
Yes.
Yeah. So just as you're going, you just
pay attention.
Exactly. You could even use a different color fabric marker or something to mark those, make them easier to see. But yeah. Questions about the folding? It is. And you have step-by-step pictures in your handout. And you'll also get a PDF copy of that as well at the end of the month. So what makes this apron so fun is it has all this pretty decorative cover stitching on it. So I'm going to pass this around, and I also want you to notice that it has this lovely binding. And we have a tool that we're going to use in just a second, and the tool makes the binding and puts it on all at the same time. So we're going to demo that. You want to pass that around? All right. And let's see, we're going to get up over here. And I can't see it. I'm going to get the wipers going. I'm going to show them how to do that. Let's see, Dee. Maybe you can help me get it kind of lined up. Woo! Dee, I don't know if you meant to, but she almost pulled that chair out from underneath me. All right.
I'm not that big.
Okay.
Okay. I feel like I'm really breathing in this thing today. I'm going to move it down. All right, that's better. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Can they see the wipers? Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. So this is the Applied, and it's a cover stitch machine, and it's called a decorative cover stitch machine. And Deb Canham, I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she calls it a cover stitch machine on steroids. All right. And you'll see why here in just a second. So a cover stitch is what they frequently use on like knit garments because it stretches really nice and the stitches don't pop. So it has regular stitching on one side, and then on the back side it has a chain or yeah, like it looks like overlock. Okay, so I've got this one threaded. The really cool thing about this one is it has a needle up and needle down button, so I can choose to have my needle stop in the fabric every single time, and that's kind of nice, or I can have it stop all the way up. That's kind of a nice feature that none of the other sergers or cover stitch machines have. These two things on the end are called, these are thread for my wipers, and you can use really thick yarns. Well, let me rephrase that. Things that won't thread through the needle, you can put them through the wipers. So like this is crochet thread, and it's variegated, and so you get some different looks. So crochet thread's not going to fit through the needle, but it will fit through the wipers. And I'll pass this around here in just a second, but I'm going to show you how we thread the wipers. So you've got a left and a right. Let me show you how they move, first of all. So these are the wipers right here. Can you see them?
I think we're going to have to pull it out like this.
You had it great. I was just.
Oh, you're going to show the wipers.
Yeah. Oh, no, I know. Yeah. I get so excited about this. I'm like, oh my God, let me show you this. Let me show you that. Okay, so I'm gonna make the wipers move. So these are the little wipers. Right now they're fully open. That's what we call that. And then if I put the foot down and turn the wipers on, look at that. So now they're closed, partially opened, and then they're totally opened. So they go in 3 different positions. So that is what places the thread. All right. So we're gonna, I think we'll just leave it right there. I mean, I don't know, Dee, do you wanna, I guess you can hold it up again. What do you think? Yeah, we'll do that real quick. Okay. So I'm gonna do the left wiper. Oh, that's my timer saying, you gotta stop talking about the applied, but I'm gonna do this real quick. All right, so this right here is my left wiper, and there's a little tension disc that clicked in there. If the yarn or the thread is too thick, I can bypass it and go through this little hole right here. But this is a 12 weight, and it just fits in there really nice. So then it just goes up and over, and then under this little bar here. And there's a hole in the foot. And it goes from the front to the back through the hole. I'm going to cut the ugly off of the little frayed edge off. I'm so excited for y'all to get to be with Barb and get to play with this machine for 2 days. It's going to be so fun. So we're going to go from top to bottom on this left wiper over here. All right. And I'm going to get a little piece of junk fabric. The cover stitch doesn't cut. It strictly does the cover stitching. So I'm going to kind of hold it with a little so it kind of forms a little V shape, half a V. And I'm just going to press the up and down button, and I'm going to let the wiper establish there. And I feel like it has, so I'm going to raise up the foot, and I'm just going to go right behind the needle, and I'm going to pull that thread tail to the back. I'm pulling it to the back because I don't want it to accidentally like wipe around the wipers. But now, and I think this is kind of pulling on me. I was going to maybe lift it up. I don't think oh, here's one. I'll use this to kind of lift it up. Man, you know, sometimes little nets work for threads like this. I think it'll be okay for us today. Maybe that's not going to work. Just want to keep, okay. I don't think that helped. That doesn't work, but it's okay. For what we're doing today, it'll be okay. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so let's take it off. I really need a net, but it's okay. Yes. Oh, the little things that it sits on, the little foams. I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. Yes, you do chain off just like you normally do. Let's see here. Isn't that pretty? Yeah. You can do it with 1, 2, or 3 needles. And if you do it with 1 needle and you use a thicker thread or a yarn, it kind of gives it a scalloped look. So you can get some really cool effects. All right, now that we've got our stitch established, I'm going to show you guys how to use this binding tool. All right. So this is a 15 millimeter double fold bias binder. This will work for the Triumph. It'll work for the Euphoria. It'll work for a few other model machines and the Applaud.
What's it called?
It's called the 15 millimeter double bias binder, and it's for knits or wovens. There are some bias binders that are single fold. There are some that are double fold. There are some that are for wovens only. This one is double fold, and it's for knits or wovens. So this little rake is folded in when it's in the box, and I have the box up here that I'll be happy to show you guys on a break as well. And these are 40% off. So the rake just kind of unfolds, and the rake kind of holds my fabric in place as I'm sewing. All right, so she's got it down here on my thing, and I'm going to show you how to get this set up, and we are going to do some binding. First of all, let me kind of show you the binding. So there's different size bindings. I can't remember what size because it comes in like 3 or 4 different sizes. I know it's definitely 10 and 15 millimeters, but this is the 15. And one side is going to be slightly longer than the other, just like in the binding that we buy at the store. Okay, so you can kind of see how one side is slightly longer. And look how pretty of a coverage you get. I mean, it really covers so nicely. And then here's what it looks like on an item. And I can pass this around as well, but you also have the little apron. And that's not a raw edge. That's a folded edge, but I just really like how you get that nice coverage back there. Okay, and you can, again, you can do it with single, triple, or double stitches. So it goes on, let's see here. Can you help me get these two back, the ones that are closest to us? Like I'm gonna kind of have it set up like right here. Or should we go back? All right, so there's 2 different sets, that'll work. There's 2 different sets of holes here. This one goes in the one that's closest to me. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's little red marks on the plastic insert, and those go with the needle. So I have this set up for a 3-thread. So this little edge right here is going to need to go just probably a little bit past that needle, okay? So it goes right up against that, and you just kind of lightly screw it in place because you may have to adjust it. You always want to do a test piece, okay? So whenever you're kind of just getting started, cut you some fabric from what you're using because some fabric works better than others. You do want to starch your fabric because it'll go through the binder really well. Has anybody ever used this before? No, okay. And the attachment is, I heard somebody say it's brand new. So it's brand new to us, right? Like we've never done it before. The attachment's been around for a while, but you're right. It's just something that we just kind of ignore as customers because it looks kind of scary, right?
It does.
All right, so I've got a piece of fabric that I'm going to attach it to, and then I've got my 2-inch binding, and the directions tell you to cut 2-inch bindings. So this is starched, and then I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to cut it at a point, like a little angle, just to make it easier to go through the tool to feed through there. All right. There's that. Okay, you need a little stiletto or something. I'm going to make sure that's in there tight. And this is going to hold my fabric, but I'm going to ignore all this for just a second. It starts right here, and you just stick it in there. And you can, if it's easier for you, you can do this while it's not on the machine. Okay. Can you see how it's starting to fold there?
So you're wanting to fold to you, towards you.
Yeah, right up here on top, it is starting to fold. Yeah. All right. So now that I've kind of got it going, I'm going to kind of weave that in there and just make sure that I'm not holding it down. At another store, I had my hand on the table and my elbow was on top of the binding. And we're like, what's wrong with it?
So
Yeah.
you put it the pretty side toward the machine.
Good question. Good. Yes, I'm putting wrong side towards me, and she said pretty side towards the machine. You're right. Yes. All right. So I'm just going to lift up the foot and just take my stiletto and kind of push it back there. And I'm going to give it a little bit of gas. And I don't know if they can see this, but there's 2 folds that are right here. I don't know. Okay,
Yeah.
there's 2 folds right there. So that tells me I'm cooking with gas. Now, I'm going to do a little bit so that I can get my binding out here and look at it. I want to make sure that it's catching on the back, and I want to see where it is on the front, because I can move my attachment if it's not hitting exactly where I want it. So all right, I'm just going to kind of look at it here. It's catching, and it looks decent. So now I'm going to stick the fabric in between those folds, just real gentle. And here we go. And you do want to use bias. I'm not using bias, but bias will make the job easier. And you're going through a lot of layers of fabric. And so I can kind of feel the needles kind of resisting a little bit. You probably want to use at least an 80 sharp or an 80 microtex or a 90 sharp or a 90 microtex. Now that I've started adding the fabric in,
You can feel it.
yes, and when I look at here in a second, when I take the back, when we look at the back, if the chain stitching doesn't look nice, I would change my needle. But we're going to see how it works out. All right, can you guys kind of hear it? Yeah. So especially if you're putting this on denim or something. Yes. And I'm really bad about never changing the needle in my serger. Oh, and of course this is stuck now. That might be one reason. All right, we're just going to kind of cut it off here. Oh my goodness, it looks so pretty. Look at that.
Oh, that is cute.
Okay, I'm going to pass it around. It does look good. It looks good. I will pass it around. Who wants an attachment? Because this is just amazing. Okay, so we will make sure, yes. So at the register, the ladies can help you. We should have some of these in stock, and on break here in a second, we will help you find yours that fits your machine. I'm pretty excited about that. All right, let me look and see what time it is. Absolutely. You can. It'll just have the chain on the back. You have to remember that, but yes, you can. So one of the things that I don't have time to do a stitch out of it, but one of the things that you can do is play with the stitch length. So I haven't played with the stitch length on this one. I just played with either using a wide, which is the 1 and the 3 needle, or a narrow. One of the things you can do is if you make your stitch length shorter, the S's will be really close together and you get a totally different look. Or you can make your stitch length about 4, which is what I have here, and the S's are more spread apart. So you can really have fun playing with this machine. And oh my gosh, you guys, there's inserts. This little plastic foot here comes out. There are inserts. So there's a stitch in the ditch set of inserts, and it will perfectly stitch in the center, or there's 2 more. One will stitch to the left of the seam. One will stitch to the right of the seam. And then there's one that's called for cording and taping. And it will not only do the decorative stitching on top, but you can feed a piece of ribbon through it as well, or cording. It is so fun. Like, this is literally a rabbit hole. The Barb that's coming, she makes a fun fur fabric that with one of the attachments, you can put a piece of fun fur yarn through there and you can make your own fabric. I mean, man, this is fun. So I'll pass this around too if you want to see that. This is 1 crochet thread. The only thing I did was just change my needle positions just to kind of play with it. Questions about the applaud? Yes. Yes. Okay. Man, I have to leave the applaud. Okay. All right. Yes, the radiance. Oh gosh, you guys, my radiance is coming in. Like, by the time I see you guys next time, my radiance will be at my house and I'll be playing with it.
1.4 makes a big difference.
Excited.
It's so much better.
Good. Good. We discovered some stuff playing with it and teaching IQ in the last couple of clubs that improvements from the Solaris. So if you had the Solaris and you got the Radiance, you're going to love IQ. Okay, let's do an IQ project. This egg wreath is so fun. The only thing it is it's embroidery, and then you use hot glue and tulle, cardboard, and glue everything together. Did it fall off?
Well, you flipped it.
Sorry. I keep hearing myself breathe, and it was creepy. Okay. Right? Okay. All right, so this wreath has 3 different size eggs. See, okay, that's not me, right? Okay. All right. Okay. The wreath has 3 different size eggs. They're all made the same way. So I'm gonna show you how to make one of the eggs right now. You use Wet and Gone stabilizer and wash it out. And we also use batiks. And so batiks look really nice on the front and the back, so you don't have to worry about putting fabric on the back. So that's a time saver. We use metallic thread. So the trick here is to make sure you get a good brand of metallic thread like Floriani, King Star, and that's good. And make sure you use a thread stand, okay? You want that vertical. And if it's not doing good for you like this, you can take this off and move it to the floor and give it more time to untwist, because metallic thread is very twisty. All right, Wet and Gone stabilizer, metallic thread, IQ eggs. I'm going to pass this around. Hot glue, it just doesn't get any better.
So what's the base of that? What is that?
Cardboard.
Oh, cardboard. Okay.
Oh, it's a Radiance box? All right. Yes. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Dee, you're always welcome to come over here. I'm going to try to get the screen of the Radiance so that we can do some IQ.
I have not done that already.
Yeah.
IQ, I've not done that.
Okay. Do you want me to keep scooting it back?
We got the table on it.
Here, we'll take it off.
If we can angle it.
Yeah, we can do that.
If you can angle it, because then I can get the
There we go. We can do that.
angle it in.
You want me to go back even further? That's decent. All right. I don't know what I'd do without Dee.
Can you guys see that?
Okay. All right. I'm going to set my timer. You guys know how I get carried away.
You don't do no good.
In my defense, Jan ran late, so we'll blame it on Jan. All right. Okay. If you don't have a mouse, you need a mouse. The thing that I love about the Radiance is you don't have to know what any of these tools are. When you hover over it, like with a mouse, it tells you. How cool is that? The Radiance will use a wireless mouse. I haven't bought a wireless mouse yet, but if you have any of the other models, you do need a wired mouse. It's very simple. So I'm going to go into IQ Designer, and no matter which machine you have, you'll be able to do this project. Your screen just might look slightly different. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select my line type. It always defaults to satin stitching, and I'm going to select the triple bean stitch. And I'm going to say, okay. All of the eggs are made the same way. I'm just going to make the smallest one so you can see how it's made. So what you'll do is you're going to hoop your Wet and Gone stabilizer, and you'll float a piece of fabric over it. And so the first thing you're going to need to do is do an egg shape so that you can cut that out. And then the next thing you'll do is you'll do your fill and then your satin stitching. Okay? So we've got a few embroidery steps here that we need to do. Does that make sense? Okay, good. All right, your egg shape. Yeah.
Is embroidered or is that freehand?
No, the egg will be a shape that's built in here. Yeah, it's embroidery. Oh, yeah. All right, so it's under your shape, your stamp tool right here. So I'm going to select that, And there's that egg right there.
Oh, can you go back?
Sure. Sure. The stamp tool looks like a square and a circle. Okay? All right. And there's an egg. It's in the first screen, and I'm going to just click on it and say OK. It's still selected, so we should be able to size it. So I'm going to click on the size button, which is right here. It looks like a little box with the arrow up showing the vertical. Yeah, there you go. I'm looking for my words. I'll click on it. We're going to size it to about 4 by 5 inches. So I'm just going to do it proportional. It's not going to be exact. It needs to be sized down a little bit. It's not going to be exact, so don't worry about it. Just get it around there. There you go. So there's about 4 by 5. All right, I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to save this to memory. All right, I'm saving it to the memory in IQ Designer because it's artwork. So I'm going to save it to the machine, but normally I would save it to my USB, and I'd encourage you to do that too. All right, I'm going to go to next because I'm going to take this into embroidery mode. Set and OK. And again, it's reminding me, hey, you're leaving IQ. If you want this, you need to save it. Like, I like how it reminds you. All right, so I'm in embroidery mode. There's my egg to cut my fabric. So let's go back and let's get the decorative stuff that's in the egg. And again, you'll have step-by-step instructions on your handout, okay? So don't stress. I'm going to go to Add an IQ. And we're going to pull up the egg shape. So the egg shape's going to be up here. Depending on which version you have, it's going to be the recall key, which looks like a pocket with an arrow going to the right. So I know on the Altair 2 and the Meridian 2, both the save and the recall are down here. But on the Solaris and the Radiance, it's in a different spot. Here's my egg. I'm just going to pull it up and say OK. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make the egg satin stitching. Right now it's triple beam, right? So I'm going to select, it defaults to, the default line type every time I come back is satin stitching. So I don't have to worry about that, but I do need to get the fill bucket. And I'm just going to touch the outline of the egg. It looks like it didn't do anything, but trust me, it did something. You'll see it here in a second. Now let's go to our fill properties. The fill properties are in the middle of the screen. The ones at the top are lines. The line properties are the outsides. The fill properties are what's inside, and that's what's kind of in the middle area down here. I'm going to select this little fill. And if I want to do stippling, I can, but I'm going to choose a fancy fill. And I'm going to click select to open the menu. And the Radiance has over 50 here. So, I mean, you have more than enough to really have fun and do some stuff. But you know what? I'm obsessed with this new little collection from Evie Hawkins. And so we have a ton of these for sale. If you have the Radiance or the Solaris Vision, you can put quilting fills and quilting motifs into IQ Designer. So I'm going to show you how to do that. You don't open these up in embroidery mode, you open them up in IQ. That's the question we get the most. So the first thing is you're going to plug, when you open this up, it's a USB. You're going to plug it into the machine, and you're going to click on that fill button just like I just did, and we're going to go to custom. Nothing.
I got some of them when we bought the machine. Is that one of them?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
All right. If you have the Radiance and you got the limited edition package, is this Evie Hawkins one on that? Is what she asked me. And yes, it is. Not all of them, because we have like 15 collections. But the one I'm going to show you today is, I'm obsessed with these kitty cats. Go ahead.
Is the Destiny part of it?
So the Destiny, you won't. Okay, so I have good news. The good news is Palette is your friend. So if you love these new quilting fills, all you have to do is get Palette and you can use them. You'll just do all of your stuff in Palette, which is computer software. Oh my gosh, that's my jam. So we need to hook you up with software. So if you don't have software yet, we need to get you Palette, and you can load these onto your computer, and you can open them and save designs in Palette, and then you're good to go. You save it as a PES file and open it up in embroidery mode. And actually, this will work for any machine. So if you have a friend that has a FOF or a Bernina, you can use Palette and save designs in any format.
I have not that.
Yeah. So if you're interested in doing some software stuff, I can totally show you because it's so easy. All right, so I'm going to select custom. I'm going to select the recall key, and it's going to pull up my USB stick. And here are some of the fills that I have. I don't have all of them on my stick, but here's the kitty cats. Nothing says Easter like kitty cats, right? Look how cute they are. They're so darling. And again, this is Evie Hawkins' collection, and all of hers kind of have a vintagey retro kind of feel. So I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to get my fill bucket, and I'm going to click inside the egg, and I'm going to go to next. All right, so here I can toggle between my fill, which is pulled up now. If I click the arrow, that is the properties for my satin stitching. So this is where I'm going to edit my stuff, okay? So I'm going to start with the satin stitching. On the wreath, it is very thin. If you are not a good cutter and you don't get super close to that, you might have some uglies, you know, some little threads peeking out. So I would encourage you to make your satin stitching wider than what we had did. Once we made a few, we had to commit to it. So so I'm going to change it to 0.20. That'll give you a nice wide one. Make it easier on yourself. Okay. We'll do that. And you can see how it made it a little wider. And then I can also edit this kitty cat. I can make the fill smaller and get a whole bunch of kitty cats, or I can rotate it. I can do all of that. I'm going to focus on one here that's really important. It's this one right here in the middle. And on the Radiance and the Solaris, it defaults to off, but on some other machines, it does not. It'll default to on. So what this is this is an outline. So as you're stitching out the fill, when it gets to the outside where there's parts that are not connected, it will cut and jump to the next part. So it will cut 30 or 40 times along that edge.
Oh, no.
So if you don't want it to do that, you turn this on, turn the outline on, and it gives it permission to just travel along the edge, stitch it, and just keep going. Okay, yes. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to click set and okay. We're in embroidery mode. So at this point, I'm finished with my design, and I'm going to click the memory key because if I don't want to have to create this in IQ again, if I want to just sit down and start sewing it out, I've got to save it in embroidery as well. I've saved it in IQ because it's artwork, but I won't be able to pull it up in embroidery mode unless I save it in embroidery mode. That's it, you guys. That is it. This is so much more than just fills. It's also decorative. It's also motifs. So here, when we work on the basket, I'll show some more of the decorative motifs that are on this. But we're at a really good stopping place for break. And so if you want to look at more of these fills and motifs, they're over there. If you have questions, I'll be happy to help you. I tell you what, we're going to regroup at 2:10. How does that sound? 2:10? All right. All right. So we're going to do this little Easter basket, this little Easter box really quickly. We're going to do this little Easter basket. So the Easter basket is first, it started in the hoop to do some embroidery parts, and then it's assembled on the sewing machine, okay? And again, you'll get full instructions with pictures and everything for this. When I pass this around, I want you to notice that one of the little green decoratives is really thin. And we left it like this on purpose because I want you to see how if you don't make your satin stitching thicker, you'll have some little ugly threads. And so, yes, you get instructions for this.
That give you where to go to, because I'm where to go to. Yeah, it will.
Absolutely.
Like dummy instructions.
Yes. All right, I'm going to pass this around. For this project, you need cutaway stabilizer. Cutaway stabilizer. And this is also starting in IQ, so we're going to do that real quick. So in IQ, you're going to go ahead and get that triple bean stitch up here at the top under your line properties. I'm going to say okay. Thank you, Dee.
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right, all right, all right. Okay. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the little pink size of my pink square, okay? The actual size of my squares that'll be sewn together, and that's gonna be 8 inches. So now that I've got the triple bean stitch, I'm gonna go down here to my shapes and select a square. It's right there. Click OK. I'm gonna go to size, and we're gonna make sure that it is 8 inches. So I'm gonna come right here and I'm gonna type in 8.0. Now, if you don't have the Solaris Vision or the Radiance, just size it up and down proportionally, just like we did the eggs. Let's get some other components for this. I'm going to select a different color because I want to make sure that it stops for me to place fabrics and appliques. So I'm going to come back here and click on triple stitch, and I'm just going to pick a different color. I'll get red and OK. And this time we're going to go get that little scallop green part. So it's under shapes again. And here it is right here. I'm going to select OK. And we're going to size it. Let's see here. This one is going to be 6 inches. So I'm going to type in 6 inches. And OK. All right, and then I need to get the egg for it. So let's go back. Let's get a different color. And again, the reason we're getting a different color is to make sure that the machine will stop so that we can add our different pieces of fabric. Otherwise, it's just going to do everything because it thinks it's all the same color. The colors make it stop. So I'll just pick a different color. We're going to go get that egg. And you can honestly size the egg to however you want it. I believe the instructions have it at about 4 inches tall. I don't like rules. I'm going to do me. So, there we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I'm going to save it. I've got it all set up. I want to save it. So I'm going to click the memory or the pocket tool down here to save it. I'm going to save it to the machine. And we're going to go to next because we're going to go on to embroidery mode. I'm going to go to set and OK. So there we are. It's all set up. Now let's go back. Now that this will be the step where we've got our stabilizer hooped and our fabric, our pink fabric, and then it will give us a place to lay down all of our other pieces and build the sides to the box. Does that make sense? All right, so once we get all those pieces laid down, let's go back and let's add some decorative stuff to them. So let's go to Add, IQ. Let's pull up our artwork that we created. There it is. Now we're done with that pink box. We don't want satin stitches or anything crazy in our seam, right? So let's go to No Sew. I'm going to come up here to my line properties and select No Sew. And OK. And I'm going to select the little fill bucket up here that goes with it. And I'm just going to turn off that line. So now the only two things I'm worried about are the egg and the little, So I'm going to go back and I'm going to select satin stitching because they are both satin stitching. Black is fine. I don't have anything black yet. So I'm going to use my fill bucket. It's selected, and I'm just going to click the outline of the little scallop. It turned black. I'm going to go back to my line properties, select a different color for my egg, and again, I'm going to make it satin stitching. Yeah, questions? All right. The next thing that I need to do is I just need to put some kind of fill inside right here. So I'm going to go to my fill properties and open my decorative fills, click select to open the menu, and you can use any of these. I'll just use one of my favorites here. I like the little circles. And OK. And get your fill bucket that goes with it and just click in between the areas where you want the fill to be. That would be right here. I want the fill inside, in between the egg and the, yes. My egg is so light I couldn't see it. All right, there we go. The last thing that I want to do is there's a really pretty little decorative stitching around the outside of this. So let's do that.
The scalp or the egg.
Yes, it's right. It's not. It's neither. It's right over here. There's a little rounded square that's just motif stitched. Yeah. So I'm going to come up here and select motif stitch. There's my motif stitches. There's select. Kaylin used one of the built-in ones. I'm going to go to custom and I'm going to select my pocket, and I've got some more of Evie's here. Let's see. I'm going to pick this flower. It looks like it says gnome flowers. And okay, and again, that came from this collection. And I have the binder that we can pass around. Kaylin has all of the printouts of all the designs if you want to see what they are. Yes. I'm going to select a different color here just to make sure that the machine will stop. And we're going to draw a shape. So I'm going to select my shapes tool. Here is a rounded square. That's what that shape is. It's between the pink and the green. It's hard to see because she stitched it in pink, but it's there. I'm going to select it. And we're going to make it 7 inches. So I'm going to go to size. And you can size it up or you can type in 7. There we go. And there you go. All right, 7 inches, click OK. We're going to go, if you want to save this, you can. It never hurts to save too much. All right, so here's where I can toggle through and change all of these settings.
Oh, how cute.
Yes, isn't that cute? It looks, what is that red box? I'm thinking that's something that's selected. Let's try. Yes, okay. When you first look at it, you're like, what is that red box? That's just showing me that this is what's selected right now. It puts a red box around that. I'm not going to mess with any of the settings, but you do want to go in and you want to change your satin stitching to the 0.20. And you also want to go to your fill and you want to turn the outline on, okay? I'm not going to mess with it right now just because we're short on time. I'm going to go ahead and go on to embroidery mode, and I'm going to save it because you're going to do this lots of times, at least 4 times for all of the sides of your, for all of your baskets.
Is that an applique then?
The egg is an applique, yes, yep. And then if you want to add a letter, you can go to add, and this would be where you can add your letters here in embroidery mode. Okay, they're right here. Look at that, I did so good. All right, just in the next time. Questions about this? Yes. The 8-inch square is the pink fabric, and that is what you'll use like when you cut your squares out at the end. So the 8-inch, all of the squares are for the sides of the basket are 8 inches. So the basket has like a bottom, it's got the 4 sides. And so that 8-inch square will help you when you're cutting your pieces out after you're done embroidering.
There'll be a seam for that. I guess
Yeah, so it'll just be a line on the fabric, and that's where you'll cut. There.
it's a line that's sewed.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's you said it perfectly. Placement line. Yes. And the directions, I know, and I apologize. You know, we're giving you a little snippet of the project and you don't have the instructions. If you had the instructions, you would see how step by step she has all of the pictures that go with it. She did a great job on this. It's amazing. Okay. The last project of the day is this lovely scalloped, yes, and I'm going to set this timer so I don't go over for this one either. Okay. All right, so yes, this is actually collage. So you will get the pattern for this beautiful little bunny, and we will recommend that you use the Apla, oh my goodness.
Stick.
Thank you. Apla Stick. Yes. Am I saying that right? Applique Wonder. Yes. And it is a sticky that is ironed onto your fabric, and you peel it off, and so one side of your fabric is sticky and you can move it around so you can get your pieces where you want it and kind of lay stuff out. That's why it's so good. So we'll recommend that you use a light box and you can trace onto the paper part of the oh my gosh, thank you. Why can't I remember that? Applique Wonder. You know what? At another store I had it and I kept grabbing it. Applique Wonder. Okay. So you definitely want to use that because you want your pieces stuck on here because there's a lot of little pieces. So if you don't have a light box or something, it's really handy when you're tracing those pieces on here. So on the back, you can see that we used white for all of our bobbin, and we free motioned and did kind of some loosey sketching around the rabbit and outlined his face. And then inside, we really wanted the fabric to pop, so we used monofilament thread. If we had used a color, it might have detracted from some of the fabric because there's so many different colors here. We just really wanted the fabric to be the star. So I'm going to do a demo here in just a second on the radiance of the free motion with the monofilament.
So the current looks like it's a raw applique.
Yes.
The middle of it.
Yes. So what you'll do is you stick the fabric on, and then you're going to stipple on top of it, and that's what holds it down. And then you can do the details and outline it. So that's I'm glad you pointed that out. Does that make sense? All right, and collage is such a modern, fun technique that's so popular right now. I do want to show you guys the two things we're going to show you on this is we're going to show you how we used a low-tech kind of way to create the scallop. If you have a lot of ladies at previous clubs that said, I have a ruler, I have AccuQuilt, hey, that's awesome. If you don't have those, we want to give you something you can use at home that is a nice alternative. So the way this is assembled is really, really genius. So it's kind of like a facing for a garment. Do you guys know what a facing is? Okay. So for those of you that don't, I'm going to pull kind of a picture up here. Aren't these instructions great? Oh man. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is you will finish your bunny, get it all nice and quilted, and you're going to add a border. And as you can see in the picture, the border is just just square pieces. And then you will also have a facing piece. That's what I call it. I call it a facing piece because it's just the size of the border. And so you can see that she used the same fabric that matches her back, and it really blends. You can't even tell that it's two pieces. So what's going to happen is you're going to sew the scallops, and then you flip the facing to the back side, and it's pressed under to the. She hand stitched it. You don't have to hand stitch it. You can top stitch it. You do you. Does that make sense? It's kind of done like a garment, like a neckline or a facing or something. Okay. So I'll pass that around. I'll start right here with Miss Denise. All right, so for time's sake, I just drew a square, and this technique will work, like the scallop technique will work for anything you want to put it on. So if you don't like the rabbit, do it with something else. All right. I don't know what happened. What happened, Miss D? I don't know. All right. So while she is doing that, all I did was I'm going to pretend like this is my mini. Okay. This is my mini. This is a 10-inch square. I'm just going to pretend like that is my mini. I know that's a rectangle, and I'm going to mark the center on each side of my mini. And you know what? There is more than one way to do this. So if anybody has a method that works for them and they want to chime in, and I'm sure that I even did it a little different slightly than maybe Kaylin did. So maybe Kaylin will have some tips for us. But I'm marking the center. Do we get it? Okay. So I marked the center. And then you're going to find something with a circle. So Kaylin used a king-size cone of embroidery thread. All right, so I measured the diameter of mine, and it's 2.5 inches. So I took half the diameter, and that's just so that I would have a place to line up my scallops, okay? I'm not a math person. So you're gonna you start in the center. So you're going to use a fabric marker. You don't do this on paper. We're pretending like this is beautiful fabric that I've finished, okay? Isn't it gorgeous, guys?
Oh, wow.
I know, it's impressive. All right, so now you're just going to kind of draw your scallops. And you can decide how deep you want them, all of that kind of stuff, how far apart you want them. You can kind of decide that. I'm going to kind of place it right there. I can't fit another one over here, so I'm going to go do this side. You have to get all of your sides done first before you can. I'm just lining it up at kind of the inside mark so that I can keep all of my scallops the same level. Some of you people that are good eyeballers, you might not need this. You might not need that inner line. Okay. Again, I can't fit anything on the edge right now, so I'm going to go on here. All right. I'm only going to do a couple of sides.
So you always start in the middle.
I do always start in the middle, yeah. And I tell you what, I'm actually not going to finish this side, but I'm going to just do this. Okay, so once you've got a corner ready to go, can we see that? I stick the comb there and I just kind of line it up where it's kind of touching both of those, and then draw this one. Okay. The corner ones are always going to be a little bit bigger. And you know what? If you don't like how your circles turn out, use a different size object, you know? Some of the ladies in the previous classes have told me that they'll even use the quilting rulers. There's a Quilter Select quilting ruler that has the scallops. And so use whatever you have in your arsenal, right? Does anybody have any ideas on good ways to draw the scallops? This is a very low-tech option. Everybody has thread at home, right? So, I mean, just really easy peasy. Questions about how to draw your scallops? Don't use a pen, use a fabric pencil or something, right? Okay. All right, let's do some free motioning. All right, well, if you didn't know it, the Radiance has stitch regulator. And so we wanted to demo that because what better time to do it than, you know, with our pretty bunny. So first of all, let me go to sewing mode. I'm unplugged? Yes, I was going to show what happens. Okay. Yes, have you used it yet? Oh, okay. All right, so I'm going to start this by saying I'm not a free motioner. I'm not a free motion quilter. There we go. I'm not a free motion quilter. I want you to, when I pass this sample around, I want you to look at it. I want you to look at the stitches because I really have very limited experience with this and it really will look nice. So anybody can really do this, okay? I'm excited because this is going to up my game. I can't wait. What you can use, I cannot stipple to save my life just blind. What I would do is I would draw it on there with a fabric marker so you have something to follow. There's chalk templates. I've even seen the pieces of paper that you sew on top of and then you rip it away. You know, find something that works, okay? I'm just going to do it kind of today. I'm going to be crazy and just do it. But I would definitely, if I was going to do this for my project, I would have to draw it out. All right, so we're going to go into sewing mode. And the stitch regulator is this little thing right here. It's a special foot. And it has its own ankle and everything. It just screws in and it plugs into the back similar to how our digital dual feed foot works, okay? And I'm gonna plug it in and I want you to see, as soon as I plug it in, the machine's gonna set everything up and I don't have to do anything. Before I do that, I do wanna show you this. So it has a little button. Let me get it over here. There is a little button on the back. And if I just push that button, the little soles come out. So there's 3 soles that come with it. This one, I don't know what the name is, but it reminds me of the Glide foot. This is Echo? Okay, so thank you. This reminds me of the Glide foot for the long arm, and it's not going, I would use this one if I was gonna do that bunny because that bunny has a lot of little pieces. And as you're working, you don't want your foot to pick up those pieces. Yeah, so this one will work really great. But it just pops back in and you can use the little button to help pop it in if you need to, but it just pops in just like that. I'm gonna plug this in. Yes, thank you. All right, so you guys should come help me do the demo. It's like they've done this. All right, so it just kind of reminds me about making sure that the fabric that I'm not pulling it tightly. And
You have to do anything to the job?
don't.
Okay.
I don't. Gives me the little warning there. I'm gonna click OK, and it gets me set up. And there is I'm not gonna show over here right now, but there's the projector's going. There's a line here, and my fabric has to be past that projected line. The camera is what helps the stitch regulator work. So if you need to cut bigger batting, or if you need to put a 6-inch leader or whatever, when you're free motioning, you need to make sure that your fabric will always extend past that that projected line. And I guess maybe I can try to show you. I don't want to make anybody sick. And I don't even know if they can really see it. Let me see if I can move it. I don't know. There, can I see it? So there it is. It's like right there. We got crazy fabric. All right. You guys are going to be surprised at how easy this is. I've been scared of free motion for a long time, and I couldn't believe how literally this is dummy proof. Okay, let's talk about the different modes. Mode 1. Mode 1, when the fabric stops moving, the needle doesn't move either. Okay, if the fabric's not moving, the needle stops going. That's mode 1. And I'm going to put it in mode 1 so you can see. Mode 1, we can do satin stitching or straight stitching. So you can do this you can put appliques on this way. I mean, it's interesting. Mode 2. Mode 2, when the fabric stops, the needle still keeps going. Okay, so there's uses for that. I've seen people that use that they'll stop at a place and they'll tack it and then they'll move somewhere else. I've seen people use it for different reasons. And then and again, you can do straight or satin. Mode 3 is basting only, and you can only do the straight stitch. So basting would be when you're making your quilt sandwich. What else would you use basting for other than quilt sandwich? Okay. All right. All right, I'm going to do mode 1. And if you've never done this before, it's hard to see the little thread. What you can do to get started is you do want to do your needle up and down. Here, I'll get it over here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm also not going to use the foot pedal. So I'm going to hit the needle down, and then I've got my hand on a little bit of tension for the thread. I'm going to do the needle up, and the bobbin thread came up. And at this point, I would move it out of the way. That way you can hide it later, okay? I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to worry about the bobbin for right now. I'm just going to sew over it and make a mess. Okay, the trick to making everything look nice is just going slow and not stopping. Like when you starting and stopping, that's when stuff starts to kind of look icky. So you just kind of got to get in the flow. All right. I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to hit the go button. I'm not using the gas pedal because I find that when I do the gas pedal, I'm stopping and starting. And it doesn't start moving until I start sewing. I'm going to make it beep. When it beeps, you're doing something bad. Can you hear it beeping?
Yeah.
So the beeps are just telling me slow down. So, and I'm actually going too slow now. You just got to be consistent. Dee, are you good at free motioning? Yeah, you can hold your own, huh? All right.
That would take practice.
It will take practice, but you know what? Woo, look at that, one-handed. Woo, just kidding. I'll stop it. And when you stop it, you also will want to make sure that you don't just cut your thread. You want to leave a long piece so that you can hide it as well. Does that make sense? I didn't stitch a whole bunch, but I will pass this around. Some of the big spots, like where there's huge stitches and it's not consistent, that's when it was beeping. But for the most part, it looks pretty decent, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Free motion wise, does that make sense? I mean, it does a pretty good job.
So you don't cut the threads off when you're doing the end?
No, what I do is I lift it up and I leave it long
Okay.
so that I can hide it.
Okay.
Now I do tack it down. What do you do, Kaylin? Is that kind of what you do, the same thing? Okay.
Sometimes I leave them long and various. Sometimes I just stitch in place a little bit and trim them nice and close.
Yeah, I'll do that for pillows and stuff
But
too.
yeah, look what's for too, right?
Yeah.
My daughter to like wrestling around with. I'm gonna just stitch in place a bunch of trim clothes. I'm not gonna bother with tying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will pass this around. Any questions about our projects today? We're getting ready to do show and tell. Yes.
So that catching that you had touched on there, is that for Solaris?
No. So this is something. So the Radiance has a new operating system. It has an Android platform, and the Solaris does not. So it will only work with the Radiance. But none of the other machines have stitch regulators either. None of our other like domestic machines. So this is, yeah. Yep. I love it. I'm excited. You know what? I think that free motion, I decided at the beginning of the year, I always pick a word for my year. And like last year it was bags. This year it's free motion. So by the time December rolls around, I want to be a free motion queen, right? Like, so I do. I want to be able to just stipple and be real comfortable doing it. So, all right. If there's no other questions, I'm ready for show and tell. You guys ready?
Sure.